Nani Tarot, and today, I always say it's special, but this is special. This is truly, really, awesomely, amazingly, head exploding special. I want to introduce someone who I met through word of mouth and honestly immediately became such good friends with. I'm so very blessed to have her in my life and just to know she's here in this universe with us right now in this life. It's amazing. So, without further ado, I am going to introduce one of the best authors I know and an amazing reader and the best teacher I know. And here is her book. That's not all I have. So, this is Atalanta Moonfire. And I'm going to have her tell you about her experience and what she does. But first of all, I just want everybody to know she didn't pay me to do this. She didn't pay me off. She didn't buy my friendship. Okay, friendship is not bought. So I actually took her course and fell in love with it. And, I was a little like, okay, let's do something new. And it was absolutely amazing, the things I learned from her. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about herself now that I've gushed all I can gush. And we will go from there. So, Atalanta, thank you so much for taking time out of your what I know is crazy busy schedule between your book tour, your readings, your business, everything.
Well, thank you for having me. I feel honored. And yes, I did pay her a little bit. Just joking. I didn't pay her. But so a little bit about me. I am 52 years old. I've been studying divination since I was 25. I predominantly used tarot cards up until about 12 years ago, 11 years ago-ish. Was introduced to the bones, reading bones. And ever since I've been hooked. I am an ordained minister. I just graduated from Harvard online education class, certified for oracles and prophecies. I am a high priestess of the Sacred Moon Coven, and that's just a little bit about myself, a little bit about my history. So I recently wrote a book, which she mentioned. It's Throwing the Bones, Divination for the Modern Practitioner. Here it is. And I am currently on book tour right now, signing autographs, autographing books, and doing readings all over the United States. So that's kind of what has been happening with me. I teach classes online. I did teach her. I thought Tiffany. I also do private one-on-one readings by video and telephone, or I'll do them by email where you get an audio recording and you get a couple of pictures of the throw. So just I'll do a little bit of everything when it comes to throwing bones, but that's about it.
Amazing. I'm so excited that you're able to go on this book tour with everything that's going on and able to actually do what you love and be able to be there with the people. That's amazing because it's been rough. I mean, as someone who has also toured, I haven't had any tour dates this year. So kudos to you for getting out there and doing it. That's amazing.
It's been pretty difficult. COVID has really thrown everything back. And actually, my tour was supposed to start last July. And of course, it was postponed due to COVID. But now I'm touring with the Oddities and Curiosities Expo. Predominantly. I'm also doing metaphysical shops in between, and we are taking precautions, big safety precautions, masks, social distancing, sanitizing stations, everything you can imagine. So that did put me back a little bit, but I was still able to do my online classes and readings and things like that. So it didn't completely mess me up as it has other people think, thank goddess. But it was a little bit of a slow start. So we just recently started doing the actual physical touring part. The kickoff was 2 weeks ago, the official kickoff, but I've done, like I said, metaphysical stores since probably September or so.
We got to do what we got to do to try to get life back to what it was and slowly get there. And, we're getting there if we're able to tour again. We're slowly getting there.
Yeah, you got to meet the people. That's the fun part about it, is meeting everyone that's interested in throwing bones and talking to them. And that's my favorite part of it, is just meeting people that are excited about it, or people that don't know about it, because there's a lot of people that have no idea what throwing bones is about. The type, just to let you know, the type of bones that I am teaching and that I throw are it's an American tradition. It started during the slave trade, and it's Southern Hoodoo, African American, and Native American mixture. So that's just to kind of let you know, there's so many types of throwing bones, like there's runes and dominoes and dice and many different things. So just to kind of give you a little bit more information, that is the type that I teach and the type that I throw.
And I know one of my concerns at first, and I'll put this out there, was cultural appropriation. And, do I go into something like this that I'm drawn to, even though obviously, and, is that a cultural appropriation? Is this something that the gods and goddesses and the priests and priestesses would be okay with? Do they feel that I'm coming with respect and honor? And you were really good at reassuring me that, the respect and honor is there within me, at least at that point, and that it was okay.
Yeah, and it's all about the individual. It's how you approach it. If you approach it with respect, if you approach it with you know the right way, you don't want to step on any toes, per se. Bone divination has been around for thousands of years, and is practiced everywhere. It's not just through hoodoo, and people automatically think, hoodoo, voodoo, whenever they hear throwing bones. But I mean, it's thousands of years old. The Vikings did it. In Asia, it's all over Asia. Greek, Italian, I can't even think of the different types. There's many different types of bone throwing, which is one of the things I try to teach in the class, is that there's so many different types. Just this particular style that I teach just happens to be, an American based tradition. And then you put your own little twist on it. And you don't just, it's very diverse. You don't just pray to like a deity in particular. You pray to your deities, but predominantly your ancestors. They speak through you to get the answers and the guidance that you need with the bones. You're just a tool that they're speaking through. Everyone has ancestors. Everyone has ancestors. So why not make it, an everyday thing? I'm trying to bring it into the mainstream.
And I've really discovered that it's really, you bring up the ancestors, it's a beautiful way to honor and to bring them in and to really work with them. Everyone concentrates on guides and, yeah, everybody matters, but we got to bring our ancestors in a little bit. They need a little bit more attention.
Yeah, they do. A lot of times we overlook our ancestors, and that's where we came from. Those are our roots. That's where we go back. Another interesting fact about it is, or I guess interesting way of putting it, is there's some people, like people that have been adopted. I had a little client that had been adopted, and she's like, well, I don't know my ancestors. And I said, well, this is the way you get to know your ancestors. You pray to them, you light a candle to them. They'll come to you in your dreams. They'll come to you physically. I mean, you'll know whenever you've connected with them. And so it's a useful tool, not just for divination, but to get in touch with those that have passed, that belong to you, that have given you your roots. So yeah.
Exactly. Like, I don't know my birth mother and birth father. I never knew them. So, and it was the same way. And I've been able, they've passed. I've been able to connect with them through my mediumship. But, I can understand where she's like, well, I don't know. It's like, but they will come to you. And this is the best way to really find those people and to really connect with that energy.
Absolutely. And also whoever raised you, your ancestors through who raised you. Your friends that have passed. And anybody is, considered an ancestor that's anyhow related to you, any way related to you, whether it be by blood or it be, by who raised you or somebody that you were with, spending energy and time with. I mean, your ancestors are considered all those different things.
Oh,
So a lot of people don't realize that. But yeah, this is a great way to get in touch with, with people that you didn't get to know.
it's definitely beautiful. So I guess give them a little bit about throwing the bones. Like, obviously, we're not doing a full class because, come on, people, we're paying for that. But give us a little bit about what throwing bones is. That way, because like you said, there's so many people that don't know what it is. Let's let them know.
Let them know. Okay, so how about a little walkthrough on a session? That might be a little bit helpful. Say if I had someone come to me and they sit down and they want to know about a particular subject, or they just want something in general, we'll go with that, something in general. What we do is we pick a piece that represents them, and we introduce that piece, or I would introduce that piece to the ancestors and to the deities and say, this piece represents such and such, etc. We put it into the bone mix, after cleansing them and preparing them. We do a little prayer over them to basically just say, I ask my deities, I go down the list. I ask my deities, I ask the angels, I ask even a Reiki master. So I ask for help from my ancient Reiki master, spirit guide, and then predominantly my ancestors to please help me give this person a reading, the answers to which they seek. And that is pretty close to the prayer that I actually say. We spread them out, and then we go through, there's what's called subject pieces, which, you've got your friendships, you've got your love, you've got your finances, your work, your school, your home, significant other, all these different subjects. And you basically can read around, and this is actually a little bit of information on how to do it. This is, you read what's around those subject pieces, and then you fall into the clusters that are, and when I say a cluster, it's like a group of bones, shells, or curios, which is very important that I did not mention, that's what we use. We use not only bones, but we use seashells and curios, different little trinkets that we found, to do the reading, and they all represent different things. So you would just kind of go around and give your the meanings to the different pieces, and the ancestors will speak through you and give you guidance as to what these pieces mean. Yes, sure, they all have a meaning to them. They have a traditional meaning to them, but that might change during the reading depending on what your ancestors are telling you and your deities are telling you. So then you just kind of go through the reading, looking at the different clusters, the little groupings, I should say, of bones and shells and curios. I just call them all bones because that's a general term. And that's about it. And then at the end, you thank the ancestors. You can ask yes or no questions and throw cowrie shells. There's a lot of little pieces to it. It sounds very intimidating, but it really isn't. And you can attest to that. It's not as bad as what people
No.
think. People think it's so difficult. It's a pretty easy form of divination, especially if you have good intuition.
I mean, at the end of our first class, I did a reading and it was spot on, you said. So, and it was just kind of like, is this really happening? My first try. Is this happening?
It was like a fake reading. It wasn't even supposed to be anything
Right.
real, but you were spot on with what was going on in my life, and I was like,
Like, this wasn't supposed to be real, guys. What are you doing? So she's
supposed to be
talking.
pretend.
What's that?
It was supposed to be pretend, but it
Right.
wasn't.
I guess the guides don't play, right? We're like, no, we're not doing tea party today.
That's right. The bones don't lie. I always say that. I'm like, the bones don't lie. They just don't.
No, they don't. It's a kick you in the boo-boo truth if you need it, let me tell you. So
And
when
I've had a couple of students that have that when they did their little sample throw that they hit some stuff point on. Not a lot of my students hit exactly on, but the ones that have previous experience in some kind of divination have been pretty good about hitting points. But no, when you did it, you were spot on. You were right on it. And I was just like, okay.
Like, well, that wasn't in the plan, but we'll go with it.
Calling to you.
It really was. Like, this is one that was included in the kit.
The muskrat mandible.
Yep, absolutely. And the quality of the pieces that came with it, I was like, not that I expected less, but you never know what you're
You never
getting
know
into.
what you get. You never know what you're getting. That's exactly right. I try to keep, the quality. I try to keep the quality up nice and high and the prices low, because I want everybody to be able to afford to do it. And yes, sure, I make some money off of it, as anybody would whenever they're selling items and stuff. But that's why I made that deluxe kit, because the first kit that I ever received only had a few pieces in it. It had like maybe 3 bones, and then it had a few curios in it. I don't even think it had seashells in it. And I paid $40 for it, which was ridiculous. And so my kits have 40 plus pieces in it, and they have at least 19 bones and body parts, and the rest are shells and curios. And then I sell it for $70. So I don't think that's a bad price for what you get. And I try to keep the quality high. So
I think it's amazing. Plus, I mean, the bag, it comes in the red velvet bag is perfect. So, honestly, the price is amazing. And for what you get, and especially doing your class, I mean, they could buy the book, but honestly, I would always tell anybody, and I've told a few people already, you need to take the class. This is not something
hands on.
that you can just read the book and be like, I got this. No, take the class, feel it in action, see it in action. I mean, your knowledge, your history with this practice needs to be spoken and seen, not just read.
Well, some people are, yeah, they're more apt to learn by hands-on. So taking the class is definitely hands-on. Having the book is a good like a good addition to it. But I've had a few people that have bought the book that didn't take the class. They didn't feel like they needed to after they, and they seem to be doing fine with it, because it's all inclusive. But if you take the class, you get more hands-on experience. So that's my whole outlook on it. I think that, if you were serious about wanting to learn to throw bones, take the class, get the book. You'll be a professional before you even know it. I mean, by the time you're done with the class and the book, you've got it. So, and the book also has 11 different types of throws in it. So once you learn the basics of the class, you can go on to the book and read other types of throws and learn the different things, the long distance throw, the choices throw, decision throw, the relationship throw, stuff like that. The book has all that, where I only teach that in my intermediate and advanced classes. But to be honest with you, most people just take my beginner class, they get the book, and then they finish with the book. Yeah. So that's how it usually works. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the book is amazing. It's got full color illustrations, pictures. It's absolutely amazing. So even if you just say, I need to take the class, you want the book. One, it's a beautiful book. Two, it has a reference for the pieces and everything like that as well. So, and then also you got the history in there. The history, there's so much history, which I love, because to respect that history, to honor it, to learn it, is part of doing these readings, in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, honestly, getting the book and the class is ideal, because I say so, and this is my channel and I can. But if you learn from reading, awesome. And honestly, even if you learn better from reading, still take the class, because there may be something that you're sitting there going, wait a minute, hold on. Or, just having that little practice session with that might turn real with Atlanta, and, having her go, okay, perfect, now let's try it this way. Or, okay, you have questions about, like, how do I even approach this verbally? To have that backup with somebody who is so knowledgeable is perfect in my eyes.
I think that having the class, and I thank you for saying that. That's very sweet. But I think that having the class, because it's hands-on, you know, you're right, for those individual questions that they may have, if they're reading the book, they may say, well, what if? Well, what if, what if? Well, they can ask those questions. And like I said, by the time you're done with the class, you're able to read. But if you want to carry it a little bit further, the book expands and takes you into the intermediate and the advanced stuff. And you mentioned the meanings. The book does have pages and pages. I'm going to kind of show it, pages and pages of meanings. I think there's about 50 something pages with pictures and meanings. And these are actually out of my collection. These are pieces that we photographed out of my collection at the time. Now my collection's grown some. It's grown a lot, actually. I think whenever I taught you, I had like 300 pieces, and now I have like 340 pieces. So it's getting up there, but that's not necessary to have that much. It's not necessary to have that much. Just the more pieces you have, the more details you can give. Having a 40-piece set or a 60-piece set, or, is more than enough to give a good reading. Just the more you'll find, I don't know, I think you have, because you said your set has already grown. Once you start looking around, the pieces kind of come to you, and it becomes almost addicting. You're like, I can use that in my kit, and it can mean such and such, or let me look it up in the book and see what this might be. So yeah, I think that having a combination of both really helps.
I can literally be like, okay, I need help, and I know someone who's trusted that I can go to. And you have a wonderful network of your students and everybody online as well that really come together well. And you've created this little group that really is so supportive and amazing. And we all can sit around and talk about dead things and not be looked at like we've lost our mind.
Like we've lost our mind, yeah. And it's a private group too, so that way you don't feel like some people aren't quite out there with their practice, so we keep it private for that reason. But we accept almost anybody. I mean, it's not like it's an exclusive group or something like that. They don't have to be my student. Yes, my students usually sign up for it. They don't have to be my student, but they need to be serious about bones and bone reading, and and like you said, dead things. They need to be like really into it, not just there to they're there to socialize, but not just there to, I don't know if you found this problem on Facebook, but find a date, or or just sell their stuff. But we do allow selling on that private group. We allow selling, exchanging of different items and stuff. We've got a couple of people that really go out there and get like roadkill and basically do an honorable burial for the poor animal that has been, deceased. And then they'll salvage the bones and then honor the bones and honor them by, include. So we have people that sell their stuff on that little group, which is perfectly fine. And we have people that exchange on it. So that's perfectly fine too.
And I will
gives
say,
good ideas.
yeah, everything on there is ethically sourced, which is amazing. And, it's bringing that together and honoring that energy. And even just seeing someone post up about something that they have acquired or a loss that they had, we all give that animal that honor. We honor that energy. And it really, as a weird woo-woo medium standpoint, that helps the crossing of over is that honor. And part of, the bone readings, I feel, and you can tell me if I'm just talking here, it's still honoring that animal that bone came from. Even though it's been
Absolutely.
so long, you're still honoring them and respecting them by cleansing them, by making sure they're safe, making sure they're cared for, using them for readings. When I do animal readings, I have so many animals that they consider that they have a job, even if they aren't assigned it by their owners. They have a job, and all animals have a job, and they see this kind of as their job now. Like, well, I'm going to help give these messages, even though, it's been so long. I just really feel that way about them.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. I think it's a very good way to honor the animal. It's a good way that if unfortunately, like I said, people, you joke about people collecting roadkill and stuff like that, but that's a very devastating way to die. And so you've got this poor animal that's died in a really tragic way when you can take that animal and resource it and then honor it and give it a proper burial, let that animal pass on properly rather than so tragically. Change that energy from something being so devastating to something positive. You're changing that energy for that animal. I think that that's a really that's a positive outlook on it.
You're
And
very
every
much.
time you read,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
that's okay. That's okay. I was just saying that every time that you read, you're honoring that animal, because you're using those bones become a part of you. I don't know if you've noticed that, but they become a part of you. Um, it's I keep mine with me everywhere I go, and if they're not with me, then they're next to my ancestral altar. But I even sleep with them next to my bed because they become a part of you.
Oh yeah, and that energy imprint, I've seen that with readings from pets that I've done. They get this energy imprint, and it, you can get rid of that, and that happens. They don't need that last traumatic energy imprint. Let's just moving on, having something be positive. Yes, it's not all rainbows and unicorns and puppy dog tails, but let's get rid of that stagnant energy. And that's the Reiki part of me talking as well. Let's get rid of that stagnant energy and get it flowing. And, they do become, it's like I didn't take all of them with me on my last trip. So I was like, okay, as soon as I get home, gotta check my babies, say hello to them, say hello to everybody, and they have their little space where they hang out on my ancestral altar when I'm not there, and things like that. So
Oh yeah, and I carry them everywhere with me. It's really funny because the first time that I had not, and this is the first time ever that I had not carried them with me on a trip, is I last weekend I went to Atlanta for supposed to be for the night, ended up being 2 nights, but I went for the night and I didn't bring them with me. And I felt naked. I felt like, and I felt so bad, especially because I had to stay an extra night. I felt like I was a mom that like left her children somewhere. And I mean, they become a part of you. I've been doing it for so long. There's pieces I've had in there for, 11-ish years, 12 years. Um, and they just become a part of you, your everyday being. So that's another point about bone divination is it's so personal. And a good point to be made is, and I started mentioning it whenever I was taking you through the process of a bone reading, but the meanings are there's traditional meanings, and then there are meanings like spiritual meanings, symbolic meanings, totem animal meanings. There's all these different meanings that you can use, but a lot of times that meaning starts to change as you evolve as a reader, and that piece may mean something different to you than originally it was meant to be. The energy it gives off may be one thing. For an example, we'll give an example. The snakeskin shed. Snakes usually represent transformation. And so some people, snakes might be fearful, that might scare them. So to a person like that, the snake skin shed might mean fear. And that's fine. That's fine to take for it to take on its own meaning. That's what makes it so personal. And like I said, the readings are so detailed. You're not just kind of giving general information. You're giving details. They're supporting pieces. There's subject pieces that, like I said, love, romance, finances, work, school. There's all these different subject pieces, but then what's surrounding those pieces are details of what each subject is about. Does that make sense? What I'm
Yeah,
saying?
it
I
starts to
hope
write
so.
a story. You got your players, and then you got the story talking all around your players, basically. And it
Right,
really
right.
kind of gives, your sitters, well, and the people that learn, it's like it gives guidance, it gives support, it gives options, which at first when I started getting options, I'm like, really? Options now? Now you're giving me options. Okay, so now you get options with your reading.
That's
It,
right.
I do love doing them because like I get all these different things and it's like, okay, now you're going this direction. Okay, I'll follow you. It really
It changes.
it makes the reader learn to follow the path that's given instead of just saying, okay, this is the tarot card and I know what it means and this is what I'm getting my own intuition. Well, the bones are like, no, you're doing it my way.
Yeah. And it changes. It changes, and whenever it change, you don't know when it's going to change. It just happens.
Yeah.
So you just got to go with it. You got to go with what the ancestors and your deities and spirit guides are telling you. You know, like I said, you may look at a piece that's meant such and such for so long, and then it turns around and it flips on you, and you're like, no, it means this now. And that's what makes it so personal. Like your deluxe kit that you got from me, and another person that got the same deluxe kit, both of you are going to get two totally different perspectives, I guess is the word I'm looking for, on the bones. You're going to get two totally different readings from these two people that have the same exact bones. That's what makes it personal. It's a very personal form of divination. So,
I absolutely love it. And I mean, I love you for making it and teaching it. And,
well,
you
I love
know,
you too for being such a good, and we've become such good friends since then. So that's been nice.
it's all the fault of the bones.
Yep, it's all the bones. The bones brought us together.
Right. And I mean, it's been an absolute pleasure today. And I really hope everybody, heads over to your website, to your Facebook page, all of that, which I am putting down below our faces, our beautiful faces down there. So go ahead and get in touch with Atlanta. And if you don't want to learn how to read, get a reading because you're going to get so much guidance. You're going to get that kick in the boo boo that you need because we all need it, but it's going to be with love. And Atlanta will, deliver that reading in a very loving, motherly manner. But it's amazing. And if you're looking into a new type of divination and you're feeling called to do this, you can always get in touch with either her or me and, figure it out and go from there. And thank you so much. I really appreciate it. This has been so much. We could talk and talk and talk, as if anyone hasn't already
Forever.
noticed. I am going to let you go for now, but thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to meet all of my watchers and followers.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been an honor. And I'm sorry it took so long for us to get our schedules together, but we finally did it.
Between the two of us, it was just like, you're here, I'm here, we're everywhere. Oh, hey, yeah, we did cross each other's paths. What's going on?
Well, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for everybody that's watching. And I hope that you hit me up if you're even just curious about it. Hit me up. She'll put all my information down below. And it was good to see you.
You too. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.